Stray Kids have been on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon more than once, and every time they show up, something memorable happens. They've performed, they've played games, they've done interviews, and Jimmy Fallon has sat across from all 8 members enough times to actually form opinions. Real ones, not the polished PR kind. The kind that slip out when a host is genuinely caught off guard by someone's energy, someone's chaos, or someone's complete inability to act normal on national television. Here's the thing about Stray Kids. They don't have one troublemaker, they have layers. There's the obvious chaos you see in every variety show, and then there's the deeper, weirder, more specific kind that only surfaces when someone who's never met them before is forced to interact with them in real time on live TV with no script for what's about to happen. Jimmy Fallon has reacted to a lot of things in his career, but which Stray Kids member made him visibly lose his composure? Which one did something so distinctly them that even a seasoned late-night host had to pause and recalibrate? The answer might genuinely surprise you. Number 8. The voice that doesn't match the face. Felix. Lee Felix, born Lee Young-bok on September 15, 2000 in Sydney, Australia, is the only member of Stray Kids who grew up in the Southern Hemisphere, and that detail alone already makes him an outlier in a group built around Korean idol culture. He moved to South Korea at 16 with essentially no prior training, passed the JYP Entertainment audition, and was thrown into one of the most grueling idol training systems in the industry. By the time he debuted with Stray Kids in March 2018, he had been in Korea for less than 2 years. That backstory is already unusual, but none of that is what makes people stop mid-scroll when Felix appears on screen. What stops people is the voice. Felix has what audio engineers and vocal coaches describe as an exceptionally low fundamental frequency for a male vocalist of his age and build. When he opens his mouth in a rap verse, the register that comes out doesn't match what you see. Visually, Felix presents as someone with a round face, bright eyes, and a spray of freckles across his nose, a look that reads young, approachable, almost deliberately non-threatening. Then he speaks in his performance register, and the room shifts. It's not a voice effect. It's not pitch manipulation in post-production. Every live performance, every unedited variety clip, every candid fan-recorded moment confirms the same thing. That's just what Felix sounds like when he performs. This specific contrast has been documented across multiple international media appearances. When Stray Kids have appeared on major Western platforms, including The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, the production teams, who are briefed on every guest beforehand, still consistently catch hosts visibly recalibrating when Felix delivers a line live. The gap between expectation and reality is that wide. Late-night television is built around the idea that hosts know what's coming. With Felix, there is a specific moment where knowing doesn't fully prepare you. The science behind this is straightforward. Most people associate physical size, age, and facial structure with vocal timbre. Felix's combination of features sits outside the typical statistical range for where that kind of low resonance occurs naturally. Researchers studying Kpop vocal characteristics have pointed to Felix as a documented outlier, someone whose voice, in a clinical sense, does not map predictably onto his other physical characteristics. This isn't praise inflation, it's an observable acoustic anomaly. What compounds the effect on Western audiences specifically is the contrast between his speaking voice and his performance voice. In casual conversation, Felix's tone is noticeably warmer and softer. He switches between Korean and English fluidly, and his Australian accent resurfaces in English interviews in ways that feel completely unguarded. He's not performing approachability, he actually is approachable. Then the performance starts, and something switches. That switch, that specific, documented physiological gear change, is what has made Felix one of the most clipped and shared members of Stray Kids across platforms outside of Korea. His freckles have also become a documented cultural touchpoint in their own right. Felix has 13 freckles on his face, a number his fans have counted, documented, and turned into something of a recurring reference point in the fandom. He has spoken openly about having been self-conscious about them during his trainee years in South Korea, where skin standards in the entertainment industry trend toward a very specific uniformity. He didn't hide them, he kept performing. They are now, by any measurable metric, merchandise, fan art volume, social media references, one of his most recognized features internationally. Felix also holds a specific record within Stray Kids. He's the member who went from 0 to debut ready in the shortest window of formal training. Most K-pop idols train for an average of 3 to 5 years before debut. Felix debuted with roughly 18 months of official JYP training behind him. The fact that he held his place in the group through that process, against trainees who had years of preparation over him, says something specific about the nature of what he brings that can't be manufactured or accelerated on a training schedule. Jimmy Fallon has a well-documented pattern of reacting to guests who subvert his expectations. Felix, as a case study in visual auditory dissonance, is built for that exact reaction. But Felix's surprise factor is relatively contained. It's one specific thing, and once you know it, the mystery is solved. The next member on this list is a different kind of unpredictable, and it's the kind that no amount of pre-interview briefing can fully prepare a host for. Number 7, the athlete who almost never became an idol, Seungmin. Kim Seungmin was born on September 22, 2000 in Seoul, South Korea, and before he ever stepped into a JYP Entertainment audition room, he was on track for a completely different career. Seungmin was a competitive baseball player throughout his school years, not casually, not as a hobby, but at a level where he was being actively tracked as a legitimate prospect. Baseball in South Korea operates within a serious youth development pipeline, and Seungmin was inside it. The fact that he pivoted to auditioning for JYP Entertainment and ended up debuting with one of the biggest fourth-generation K-pop groups in the world is not a feel-good narrative device. It's a documented career trajectory that took a hard left turn, and understanding that turn explains a lot about why Seungmin operates the way he does in group settings. He auditioned for JYP Entertainment through the 2017 open auditions and was accepted. He trained, he competed in the survival show Stray Kids, the Mnet series that determined the group's final lineup, and he made it through. But what Seungmin brought into that process wasn't the typical trainee background. He came in as someone who had already been shaped by a different performance environment, one built around precision, competition, high-stakes execution, and the ability to compartmentalize pressure. Baseball builds a specific mental architecture. You fail in front of crowds repeatedly at a statistical rate that the sport itself acknowledges as normal. A batting average of .300 is considered elite. That means failing 7 out of 10 times is not just acceptable, it's the standard of excellence. That kind of conditioning produces a person who relates to failure, pressure, and public performance in a way that's measurably different from someone who came up entirely through idol training. What this produces in practice is Seungmin's humor, and his humor is the thing that consistently disarms people who expect a standard idol presentation. Seungmin's comedic delivery is deadpan, specifically aggressively deadpan. He does not perform the setup, he does not signal that a joke is coming. He delivers a line at exactly the same register as everything else he says, and then waits. The pause after the line is the punchline. This is a specific comedic technique, the flat affect delivery, and it requires genuine timing, confidence, and a willingness to let a joke land in silence rather than selling it with expression or laughter. Most performers, especially in live television environments, can't resist selling the joke. Seungmin doesn't sell it, he places it and walks away from it. On variety shows, in interviews, in fan interactions, the pattern is consistent and well documented across years of content. His baseball loyalty is also documented at a level that goes beyond casual fandom. Seungmin is a dedicated fan of the Doosan Bears, a South Korean professional baseball team, and this is not a brand-associated talking point. It shows up in his personal social media, in his unscripted moments in behind-the-scenes content, in interviews where baseball references emerge unprompted. He has spoken about baseball with specific technical knowledge, pitch types, player statistics, team strategies, in ways that confirm the relationship is genuine and long-standing. He's also attended games personally during his own limited off time, which, for an active K-pop idol on a major label schedule, is not a trivial statement about priorities. In the context of a Western late-night appearance, Seungmin presents a specific challenge for interviewers. The expectation when hosting a K-pop group is a certain level of enthusiastic, high-energy group dynamics. Seungmin provides a different texture. He's sharp, he's observational, and his humor operates at a frequency that rewards attention. He doesn't perform for the camera in the way that some performers do. He responds to what's actually in front of him, which, in a live interview setting, is a quality that either reads as refreshingly authentic or slightly unreadable, depending on how quickly the host can calibrate to it. Jimmy Fallon, specifically, runs on energy and spontaneity. He's built his brand around genuine surprise and infectious enthusiasm. Seungmin's particular brand of deadpan precision is the opposite of that. It's controlled, it's dry, and it requires the other person to come to it rather than the other way around. That contrast is interesting, but interesting isn't the same as unpredictable. The member at number 6 brings a different problem entirely, one that isn't about comedic timing or vocal range, but about what happens when someone genuinely cannot be managed by a standard interview format. Number 6. The multi-talented chaos engine, Han. Han Ji-sung, born on September 14, 2000 in Incheon, South Korea, lived in Ampang, Malaysia for several years during his youth before making a high-stakes decision that defined his career path. After attending Fairview International School, he returned to South Korea with a specific agreement with his parents. If he did not sign with an entertainment agency within 1 year, he would return to Malaysia to focus on his academic studies. He actually auditioned for JYP Entertainment by accident. He had accompanied a friend to the audition just to support them, but was encouraged to try out himself and ended up passing the initial stages. He prepared a rap for the audition, but when the casting directors asked if he could also sing, he performed a rock ballad, showing the vocal range that would later define his role in the group. He secured his official trainee contract with only days remaining on his parental deadline, demonstrating a natural talent that was immediately recognized by the agency's casting team. As a core member of 3 Racha, the self-producing trio within Stray Kids that also includes Bangchan and Changbin, Han writes, composes, and produces a major portion of the group's music under the producer name J.1. His speed as a lyricist is documented. He has written entire tracks, such as Sunshine, in under 2 hours while sitting in a car or a waiting room. He holds the distinction of being one of the youngest artists ever to be promoted to a full member of the Korea Music Copyright Association, KOMCA, with well over 100 copyrighted tracks credited to his name. On stage, his versatility is a core element of the group's performance identity, as he acts as a main rapper while also delivering high-register vocal belts that match the range of traditional main vocalists. This vocal ability was highlighted when he appeared on the popular television program King of Masked Singer in 2019, where he advanced to the second round and shocked the panel of judges who had assumed he was a veteran main vocalist rather than the group's main rapper. However, this high-performance profile exists alongside a complex personal reality. Han has spoken openly to fans and media about his struggle with social anxiety, which can make large, unpredictable crowds and intensive public promotions mentally taxing. Despite this, when appearing on highly watched television programs, including The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Han becomes a focal point of the group's entertainment value by adopting a highly animated, expressive, and physically reactive persona. This behavioral shift is a deliberate tool he uses to manage the high pressure of live television, channeling his nervous energy into visible, comedic reactions that translate instantly across language barriers. For a seasoned late-night host like Jimmy Fallon, who relies on active physical comedy and quick-witted banter to keep a show moving, Han's exaggerated facial expressions and immediate physical responses provide the perfect television foils. His frequent comparisons to a quokka by both fans and group members have also become a running gag that he leans into during variety segments, often imitating the animal's expressions to the delight of the audience. Whether he is reacting to a game segment or executing complex choreography under studio lights, Han's presence demands attention because he commits completely to the comedic timing of the moment. This intense output requires significant mental and physical effort, and behind-the-scenes logs show that he often shifts instantly back to a quiet, introspective state the moment the recording stops. His dual nature as a highly sensitive writer and an explosive variety performer makes him one of the most compelling figures in modern K-pop promotion. Yet Han's explosive energy is not the only way a member can completely derail the expected script of a late-night interview. While Han controls the room by filling it with reactions, the next member of Stray Kids achieves an even more unpredictable effect by doing the exact opposite. Number 5. The unpredictable observer, Lee No. Lee Min-ho, professionally known as Lee No, was born on October 25, 1998, in Gimpo, South Korea. Before joining JYP Entertainment, Lee No had already established a professional career as a dancer. He spent years performing as a backup dancer for BTS, even touring with them internationally during their 2017 Wings tour. This professional experience gave him a highly disciplined, technical foundation in dance before he ever became an idol trainee. In 2017, he joined JYP Entertainment and was quickly placed in the lineup for the survival show Stray Kids. Despite a brief elimination during the show, his advanced technical skills made him indispensable, and he returned to debut as the main dancer and dance leader of the group. In this role, Lee No is responsible for directing choreography rehearsals, translating complex movements for the other members, and ensuring the absolute synchronization that Stray Kids is known for. However, his professional precision is only one side of his public identity. The other side is defined by a personality that variety show hosts and fans frequently describe as eccentric, unpredictable, and highly individualistic. Lee No does not follow the standard K-pop script for guest appearances. He is comfortable with silence, often standing perfectly still and observing his surroundings with a detached, analytical gaze, while the other members engage in high-energy banter. When he does speak, his comments are typically brief, direct, and delivered with a completely straight face, often bordering on surrealism. A well-documented example of his unique humor is his recurring joke about wrapping people in packaging tape and putting them in a box, a bizarre statement that he delivers with no vocal inflection or physical tells. For late-night hosts like Jimmy Fallon, this lack of standard performance energy can be highly disorienting. In an environment designed for rapid validation and performative excitement, Lee No's calm, unblinking presence stands out. During game segments on Western television, he often moves with a quiet, lethal efficiency, focusing entirely on winning the game rather than playing to the camera. His dedication to his 3 rescue cats, Suni, Dooney, and Dory, is also a major element of his personal profile. He frequently shares updates about them, speaks about them with genuine affection, and has even customized his performance gear and accessories to feature their likenesses. This domestic, caring side contrasts sharply with his sharp, sometimes intimidating stage presence and his blunt variety show persona. Lee No maintains a strict boundary between his public work and his private life, rarely sharing details that do not relate directly to his music, his dance, or his cats. This boundaries-first approach is rare in an industry that often encourages total accessibility, and it gives him an air of mystery that makes his rare moments of spontaneous fun even more impactful. When he does choose to participate in comedic bits, he does so with a physical intensity that catches people off guard, leveraging his background in acrobatics and dance to execute physical gags with absolute commitment. This contrast between total disinterest and sudden hyper-focused action is what makes Lee Know a wild card in any live media environment. Jimmy Fallon's reactions to him often involve a mix of amusement and genuine confusion, as Lee Know refuses to be steered by typical interview prompts. Yet, while Lee Know's unpredictability comes from his quiet, eccentric detachment, the next member on this list disrupts the status quo through a completely different method, combining relentless perfectionism with an intense, quiet authority that demands absolute respect from everyone in the room. Number 4. The architect of the group, Bangchan. Christopher Bang, known professionally as Bangchan, was born on October 3, 1997 in Seoul, South Korea, but grew up in Sydney, Australia, where he developed the bilingual and bicultural foundation that defines his leadership today. Bangchan entered JYP Entertainment in 2010 after passing a local audition in Australia, initiating a grueling 7-year trainee period. During this time, he watched many of his peers debut in other successful groups, while he remained in the training system, cultivating a deep understanding of the industry's mechanics and a resilient work ethic. In 2017, JYP Entertainment gave him the unique authority to select the members of a new project group himself, a departure from the traditional agency-driven selection process. Bangchan assembled the members who would become Stray Kids, choosing each person based on their specific skills, personalities, and chemistry, making him not just the leader in title, but the literal architect of the team. As the leader of 3RACHA, the group's writing and production team under the name CB97, he is the primary creative force behind their music, coordinating production schedules, arranging tracks, and recording guide vocals. Beyond his musical responsibilities, Bangchan has established a reputation for extreme dedication to his fanbase through Chan's Room, a weekly live streaming broadcast that ran for over 200 consecutive episodes, where he played music, offered advice, and communicated directly with listeners in multiple languages. This broadcast became a documented cultural safe space for millions, showcasing his self-sacrificing nature. On television shows like The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Bangchan operates as the group's primary spokesperson and cultural bridge, translating questions, directing the flow of the conversation, and ensuring that every member gets an opportunity to speak. This constant vigilance means he is rarely able to simply relax and enjoy the segment. He's always working, monitoring the host's reactions, managing the group's presentation, and correcting any potential miscommunications in real time. Jimmy Fallon and other late-night hosts immediately recognize this leadership dynamic, often addressing Bangchan directly when they need to anchor a segment or transition to a new topic. His presence is stabilizing, but the sheer weight of responsibility he carries is visible in his posture and his constant alertness. He is known to sleep only a few hours a night, often staying in the recording studio until dawn before heading directly to scheduled broadcasts or rehearsals, a schedule that has been documented throughout his career. This work ethic is driven by a deep sense of accountability to the members he chose and the fans who support them, but it also creates an intense, almost overwhelming atmosphere of perfectionism around him. Bangchan's authority within the group is absolute, yet it is exercised through support and protection rather than control. This protective nature is tested when the group is placed in high-pressure international media environments, where he serves as the shield against any potential awkwardness or difficulty. His ability to maintain composure under this level of scrutiny is a testament to his decade-long preparation, but it also highlights the intense pressure cooker in which he operates. While Bangchan manages the external pressures of the group with diplomatic precision, the next member on this list operates under a completely different set of rules, drawing attention not through calculated leadership, but through a raw, unyielding physical presence and a sharp musical style that forms the sonic backbone of the group. Number 3. The duality of the dark rapper, Changbin. Changbin, born August 11, 1999 in Henghin, South Korea, is widely recognized as one of the most technically proficient rappers in the modern K-pop landscape. As a key member of the 3 Racha production team under the name Spear B, Changbin is responsible for shaping the aggressive, beat-heavy sonic signature that defines Stray Kids' title tracks. His verse deliveries are characterized by rapid syllabic pacing, sharp breath control, and a distinct rasp that adds a raw, dark concept energy to the group's music. His performance in the survival show Show Me the Money 9 in 2020 demonstrated his ability to hold his own in the highly competitive underground Korean hip-hop scene, earning respect from veteran producers who typically look down on idol rappers. He grew up in a wealthy family who initially opposed his pursuit of a music career, wanting him to focus on academics instead. However, Changbin proved his dedication by writing his own lyrics and practicing rap independently, eventually passing the JYP audition with a dark, self-written track that impressed the casting directors. Yet this intense, intimidating musical persona is in direct contrast with his behavior in everyday group dynamics. Off-stage, Changbin is the member who most actively subverts expectations by embracing aegyo, the Korean cultural concept of acting in an exaggeratedly cute or childlike manner. This behavior is not just a casual habit. He has turned it into a structured performance tool, complete with signature phrases and physical gestures that he deploys during variety segments. This contrast is further heightened by his physical conditioning. Changbin is a dedicated fitness enthusiast who has significantly altered his physique over the years through weight training, building a highly muscular frame that fans and media hosts frequently discuss. This combination of a powerful muscular build and aggressive rap style and a willingness to perform exaggeratedly cute actions creates a unique comedic persona. On international television programs like The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, this complex persona is highly effective for visual comedy. Late-night television hosts are accustomed to guests who fall into predictable categories: the serious artist or the energetic comedian. Changbin occupies both spaces simultaneously. During interview segments, he might be introduced as a dark, intense lyricist, only to immediately show off his biceps or strike a playful pose for the camera. His nickname, Dweki, a portmanteau of the Korean words for pig and rabbit, was created by his fans and fellow members to describe this combination of strength and cuteness, and it has since been officially integrated into the group's merchandise and promotional materials. In interviews, Changbin's confidence is a primary driver of the group's comedic timing. He is rarely embarrassed by his own antics, which forces the host to react to his high self-esteem rather than making him the butt of a joke. Jimmy Fallon, whose comedic style relies on playing along with a guest's eccentricities, has frequently highlighted Changbin's interactions because they offer an immediate, humorous contrast to the group's sleek musical image. This ability to disarm viewers with humor while maintaining his status as a critical musical producer makes Changbin a central pillar of the group's public appeal. However, while Changbin's duality is built on a playful contrast between strength and cuteness, the next member on this list disrupts the late-night dynamic through a completely different form of physical and visual intensity, combining classical training with a dramatic model-like presence that commands the camera's attention. Number 2. The dramatic visual artist, Hyunjin. Hyunjin, born on March 20, 2000 in Seoul, South Korea, is one of the most visually prominent and performance-focused members of Stray Kids. During his childhood, he lived in Las Vegas, Nevada for a brief period, where he attended kindergarten and used the English name Sam, a detail that gave him an early, albeit limited, exposure to English before his career began. Unlike many of his peers who spent their childhoods training in specialized dance academies, Hyunjin was street-cast by JYP Entertainment while shopping with his mother. When he first entered the agency as a trainee, he had no formal dance background, a circumstance that led to early criticism from others who suggested he was only selected for his visual appearance. This skepticism motivated Hyunjin to dedicate himself to intensive training, often staying in the practice rooms for hours after scheduled training blocks ended. He studied various dance genres, including contemporary, hip-hop, and urban dance, eventually transforming his style into something characterized by fluid control, sharp angles, and dramatic facial expressions. By the time Stray Kids debuted in 2018, Hyunjin had secured his position as the group's main dancer, proving that his role was defined by skill rather than appearance. Beyond dance, Hyunjin is an avid visual artist who spends much of his free time painting and sketching, often sharing his finished canvases with fans on social media. His art, which ranges from abstract watercolor landscapes to detailed portraits, has been recognized by industry commentators as demonstrating genuine technique and depth, far exceeding the typical hobby level. On stage and in television appearances, Hyunjin's dramatic presence is highly pronounced. He's known for his intense emotional commitment to choreography, often altering his facial expressions and movement dynamics to match the specific narrative of a song. However, in casual variety show settings, this dramatic intensity translates into high-stakes humor. Hyunjin is exceptionally expressive, reacting to minor jokes or games with physical dramatic flair, such as collapsing to the floor in laughter or showing exaggerated shock. This makes him a favorite for late-night editors, as his reactions are easily clipped and shared. On The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Hyunjin's visual presence, particularly his frequently changing hairstyles and long hair concepts, has attracted significant viewer attention. When participating in game segments, his competitiveness and physical agility are apparent, but it is his dramatic reactions to wins and losses that often steal the segment. Fallon's show is designed to highlight these high-energy, unscripted moments, and Hyunjin's inability to hide his emotions provides authentic, non-verbal comedic content that works internationally. Despite his global fame and visual prominence, Hyunjin has spoken openly about his self-doubt and the constant pressure he feels to maintain his performance standards. This vulnerability, combined with his dedication to both dance and visual art, gives him a layered public profile. His journey from an untrained trainee to a leading main dancer in a global group is a documented trajectory of hard work over natural advantage. But while Hyunjin represents a visual and dramatic intensity that captures the screen, he's still not the member who ultimately disrupted the late-night format the most. That distinction belongs to the final member on this list, whose unexpected combination of youthful charm, subtle rebellion, and complete disregard for standard television conventions left the host completely speechless.
Number 1. The Savage Mocknet on top, IN. Yang Jong-in, professionally known as IN, was born on February 8, 2001 in Busan, South Korea, and holds the position of the youngest member, or mocknet, of Stray Kids. Before entering the mainstream K-pop industry, IN was a child model at the age of 7, gaining early experience in front of cameras and public audiences. He also developed a unique musical interest during his youth, focusing on trot music, a traditional genre of Korean pop music characterized by its distinct vocal inflections, repetitive rhythms, and older target demographic. He performed trot at local events and even showcased these skills during his JYP Entertainment audition, demonstrating a vocal foundation that was technically distinct from standard pop and hip-hop training. During his trainee days and the early years of Stray Kids' career, IN was easily recognized by his dental braces, which he wore for a significant period after debut, a rare visual trait in an industry that typically demands immediate cosmetic perfection. His fans and fellow members affectionately compared him to a desert fox due to his sharp eye shape and facial structure. While the older members of Stray Kids frequently dote on him and treat him as the central figure of affection, IN has developed a public persona that is characterized by a sharp, realistic, and sometimes savage sense of humor. He is known for his strict personal boundaries, his obsession with cleanliness and organization, and his willingness to direct blunt, honest comments at his older groupmates, earning him the fan nickname mocknet on top. This title refers to the power dynamic where the youngest member, despite traditional Korean age hierarchy, often controls the mood and actions of the older members through quiet authority. On international television programs like The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, this subverted dynamic becomes a source of unexpected comedy. Hosts who are unfamiliar with K-pop group structures typically expect the youngest member to be the most submissive or shy. Instead, IN presents a calm, self-assured front, often observing the older member's chaotic antics with a look of mild parental amusement. When prompted to interact, his responses are direct and free of performative flattery, which can catch interviewers off guard. During game segments on late-night TV, IN often plays with a quiet intensity, ignoring the performative drama of the older members to secure a win with minimal effort. This pragmatic approach to television makes him a highly effective comedic foil, as his realistic reactions highlight the absurdity of the situations around him. He has spoken about the pressure of debuting at a young age and the effort required to establish his own vocal identity within a group dominated by powerful rappers and high-note vocalists. He worked to transition his vocal tone from his early trot style to the modern pop register required for Stray Kids' discography, a transition that is documented in their behind-the-scenes recording diaries. IN's ability to maintain his personal identity and quiet authority within a highly successful, high-energy group makes him the ultimate anchor of Stray Kids' dynamics. His silent rebellion against both the traditional expectations of a mocknet and the performative conventions of late-night television is what made him the most memorable disruptor of the show's script. His ability to leave a seasoned host like Jimmy Fallon momentarily speechless without saying a single word or making a large gesture is the ultimate proof of his unique influence.